Hello and welcome to another video on Python. Today we will be discussing about flow control. The contents will be sequence, selection, and at last we will discuss the range function. So let's begin with flow control. Well, while writing a basic program, for example, to enter a number and print it, you must have noticed that when you execute your program, it first asks you to enter a number and then it print that number. And you must be wondering that why it is happening, why it is not printing the value first and then asking for the input. Well, your answer lies in the mechanism through which your program executes, and this mechanism is essential as it helps to run or execute the statements in a program in a correct manner, and this mechanism is known as flow control. So we can say that flow control means that how the statements are executed in a program. Now the execution can be sequential, selective or iterative, and every programming language provides some construct to support the aforesaid flow control mechanism. That is, the programming language provides construct to support sequence, selection or iteration. So let us see what these terms means. So in sequence, the statement set is executed in the order of their occurrence. In selection, it uses condition to execute the set of statements. And in iteration, the statement is executed repeatedly until the condition is satisfied. So let us dive in these constructs one by one. The first comes your sequence. So as you all know that in sequence, the set of statements are executed in the order of their occurrence. That is, they will execute as they appear in a program. So let us understand this flow control through an example. So here is an example where we are trying to input a value first and we are printing it. So when this program is being executed, it will first go through the line number 1, which is the line which asks for the input value for A, and then it will go to line number 2, which will print the value, and then the program will stop. Now let us move on to selection. It uses condition to execute the set of statement. In Python, the selection can be achieved by using the following conditional statement, such as if else and if elif. So let us see these conditional statements one by one. The first is your if conditional statement. Now in this type of statement, a condition is tested, and if the condition is true, then the statement inside the if block will be executed, otherwise it will do nothing. If has the following syntax: if condition and then the set of statements that will be executed if the condition is true. You can also see the action of if conditional statement with the help of flowchart. So what it depicts that if the condition is true, then certain statement will be executed and then the program will return to its original flow, and if the condition is false, then nothing will be executed and the program will return to its original flow. So let us understand the if conditional statement through an example. So here is an example where we have input a value and assigned it to A, and later we will check that if this value is less than 5 or not. Now let us try to understand the different outcome of the program with the help of a flowchart. So here the program starts by executing the line number 1, where you have to input value for A, and then it will check the if condition. That is, if the value which you have input is less than 5 or not. Now if the value is less than 5, the condition becomes true and the statement inside the if block, that is value is less than 5, will be printed and then your program will stop. But if the condition becomes false, that is, if the value is not less than 5, then it will not print anything and your program will stop. So let us see the outcome of this code in Spider in order to make the concept more clear. So here I have already written the code, and now what I will do is I will execute my program, and then I will provide an input as asked. So here you can see that I have entered a value which is 10, and as per my condition 10 is not less than 5, so it will print nothing and our program will stop. Now let us see what happens if we give a value which is less than 5. So let's run our program again, and now I will provide a value which is less than 5. Let us say I enter 3. Now what will happen is, as soon as the value 3 is entered, what it will do, it will go to line number 3 and check the if condition, that is if a is less than 5, and here our condition becomes true. So the statement inside the if block is executed and the result value is less than 5 is printed, and then our program stops. Now let us move on to if else conditional statement. So in this type of conditional statement, a condition is tested, and if it is true, then the statement inside the if block is executed, otherwise the statement inside the else block is executed. If else statement has the following syntax: if condition, then the statements inside the if condition, then comes the else part, and then the statement inside the else condition. The working of the if else conditional statement can be understood with the help of a flowchart. Now here what will happen is, if the condition becomes true, then the statement inside the if block will be executed, and then your program will follow its original flow. But if the condition becomes false, then the statement inside the else block will be executed, and then the program will return to its original flow. So let us try to understand the if else conditional statement through an example. Now here we have modified a previous example where we have included the else block, and inside the else block we have written a statement which will print the message that the value is greater than 5 if the value entered is greater than 5. So let us see the different outcome of the program with the help of a flowchart. So your program starts by asking to enter a value for a. Now after entering the value, it executes the if condition. That is, here the value of a is checked whether it is less than 5 or not. Now if the value is less than 5, the condition becomes true and the message value is less than 5 is printed, and then your program stops. But if the value is not less than 5, then the condition becomes false and the message value is greater than 5 is printed, and then your program stops. So let us see the outcome of this program again in Spider. So here the code is been already modified, so I will run this program. Now here what I will do is I will enter a value. Suppose I have entered 15. Now what happens here is, here the control first goes to the if block and checks that whether the value of a is less than 5 or not. So here the condition becomes false, therefore the statement inside the if block is not executed, and the control goes to the else block, and the statement value is greater than 5 is printed, and then your program stops. So now let us see what happens if the value is less than 5. Suppose I have entered 2. Now what will happen is, as soon as I press enter, the control will go to line number 3 and it will check that if the value entered is less than 5 or not. Now here the value is less than 5, so the condition becomes true and the statement inside the if block, that is value is less than 5, will be printed, and then your program will stop. Now let us move on to if-elif conditional statement. This type of conditional statement is used when we want to check condition in else block. Now Python provides if-elif and if-elif else statements. If-elif has the following syntax: if condition, then the statements inside the if condition, then comes the elif condition and the statement inside the elif condition. The working of if-elif can be easily understood with the help of the flowchart. So here, if the condition is true, then the statement inside the if block will be executed, and after that the control will return to the original flow of the program. But if the condition is false, then the condition inside the elif block will be executed. Here, if the condition becomes true, the statement inside the elif block will be executed, and after that the control will return to the original flow of the program. But if the condition becomes false, then nothing will be executed and the control will return to the original flow of the program. So now let us understand the if-elif conditional statement with the help of an example. So here is our previous example which is being modified. Now what I have done is I have added elif here instead of else. So let us understand different outcome of the program with the help of a flowchart. So your execution begins with line number 1, where you have to input value for a, and after that the flow will pass to the next line where it will be checked that if the value entered is less than 5 or not. Now if the value is less than 5, the condition becomes true and the statement inside the block, that is value is less than 5, will be printed, and then your program will stop. But if the value is not less than 5, then it will go to the elif block and it will check whether the value entered is equal to 5 or not. If it is equal to 5, then the condition becomes true and value is equal to 5 is printed, and then your program stops. But if the value is not equal to 5, the condition becomes false and nothing is printed and your program stops. So let us see the outcome again in the spider. Now here the program is already written. So what I will do is I will execute this program and I will provide a value 12. So here you can see that as soon as I press enter after giving the value, what will happen is that the control will go to line number 3 and it will check that whether this value is less than 5 or not. Now here the condition becomes false, so it will go to the elif block and it will check that whether the value is equal to 5 or not. Now here also the condition becomes false, and as we have no other block to print any statement or any value, the program will print nothing and the program will stop. Now let us see what will happen if I enter the value 5. Now as soon as I input the value 5 and press enter, it will again go to line number 3 and it will check whether this value is less than 5 or not. Here the condition becomes false, therefore it will straight away go to line number 6 and check whether this value is equal to 5 or not. Now here our condition is satisfied and the statement inside the elif block is executed and you will get the result value is equal to 5, and then your program will stop. Now let us see what will happen if I give a value which is less than 5, for example 4. Now as soon as I press enter, the control will go to line number 3. Now here the condition in the if block is true as 4 is less than 5. So the statement inside the if block, that is value is less than 5, is printed, and then your program stops. Now let us see the syntax of if, elif and else conditional statement. The syntax is as follows: if condition, then the statement inside the if block, then comes the elif condition and the statement inside the elif block, and at last comes the else part and the statement inside the else block. You can easily understand the working of if, elif and else with the help of a flowchart. So here, if the condition is true, then the statement inside the if block will be executed, and after that the control will return to the original flow. But if the condition becomes false, then the control will go to the elif condition and it will check that if the condition is true or not. So let us say if the condition becomes true, then the statement inside the elif block will be executed, and after that the control will return to the original flow. But if the condition given in elif block is also false, then the control will go to the else part, and the statement inside the else block will be executed, and the control will then return to its original flow. So let us understand this concept by using an example. So here I have modified my previous example and added the else part. Now let us see the different outcome of this program with the help of a flowchart. So the execution starts from line number 1, where you have to input value for A. After that, the control will go to line number 2, where it will check whether the value is less than 5 or not. Now if this condition becomes true, then the statement inside the if block will be executed, and then your program will stop. But if the condition becomes false, then it will go to the elif block, and here it will check that whether the value entered is equal to 5 or not. If the value is equal to 5, then the statement inside the elif block will be printed, and then your program will stop. Otherwise, the statement inside the else block will be printed, and then your program will stop. So let us see this example once again in Spider. So here I have already written the code. Now let's run a program and enter a value for A. Suppose I have entered value 12. Now what will happen is, as soon as I press enter, the control will go to line number 3, and it will check that if the value is less than 5 or not. Here the condition will be false, as 12 is not less than 5. Then the control will go to line number 6, and it will check whether the value is equal to 5 or not. Now here the value is not equal to 5. Therefore it will go to the else part, and it will print the statement value is greater than 5, and your program stops. Now let's run a program again, and this time we will give a value which is less than 5. Now what will happen is, as soon as I press enter, the control will go to line number 3, and it will check that whether the value which is being entered is less than 5 or not. Now here the condition becomes true, as 1 is less than 5. So the statement inside the if block is executed, and we will get a result that the value is less than 5, and then the program will stop. Now let us run a program again, and this time we will enter a value which is equal to 5. Now here what will happen is, your condition at line number 3 will become false, and the control will pass to line number 6, and this time the condition becomes true, and the statement inside the elif block is executed, and we get a result value is less than 5, and then the program will stop. Now let us end our session by understanding the range function, which will play a vital role in looping. So the range function is used to produce integer number sequence. The syntax of this function is as follows. The first one is range upper limit, the second is range lower limit comma upper limit, and the third is range lower limit comma upper limit, and then the step value. So here you can see that you can use the range function in these following ways. Now note that the lower limit starts with 0 if it is not mentioned. The upper limit is not the part of the range, that is, the upper limit is always excluded in the range function. The step value is nothing but the difference between the two consecutive values. So let us try to understand how the range function will functions, or how it will be get executed by using some examples. So here we have given range, and inside the range function we have given the upper limit. So it will generate the following sequence: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Note that the upper limit is not included in the range function, and as we have not given the lower limit, therefore the range will generate the sequence which will start from 0. So let us take another example where we will give the lower limit and the upper limit. So here is an example, range 1, 7. Now it will generate the sequence from 1 to 6. Please make note that in this example we have not given the step value. Now if the step value is omitted, it is considered as 1. So here you can see that if you add 1 to this one, what you will get is the next number in the sequence, and if you will add 1 to 2, you will get the next number in the sequence. Now let us take another example where we will give the upper limit, the lower limit and the step value. So here we have given the upper limit, which is 7, the lower limit, which is 1, and the step value, which is 2. Now remember that the step value is just the difference between the two consecutive number. So here the difference between these 3 and 1 is 2, and the difference between 5 and 3 is 2. So therefore it will generate the following sequence: 1, 3 and 5. So let's take another example where we will generate the sequence in reverse order. Range 7, 1, -2 will generate the following sequence: 7, 5 and 3. I hope that you must have understood how sequence and selection construct works and how the range function works. In the next lecture we will be discussing an important construct, that is iteration. Till then, take a very good care of yourself and bye bye.